The navigation system died 3 hours before I realized we were still moving. I was alone on the bridge when it happened. Captain Voss had gone to check the cryo bay after someone reported sounds from inside the pods. That was 40 minutes ago. The Ecclesia was a deep space freighter, 17 kilometers long, hauling mining equipment to the Kepler colonies. Crew of 206. 98 days into a 400-day journey. Everything routine until the navigation array went dark without warning, and I sat there staring at blank screens while the ship continued forward at exactly the same velocity, same heading, as if nothing had changed. I tried the manual override. Nothing. The backup systems. Nothing. The Ecclesia shouldn't have been able to move at all without those systems, but I could feel it. The subtle vibration through the deck plating. The faint hum in the walls. We were still accelerating. I called down to engineering. No answer. I called the cryo bay. No answer. I called Captain Voss directly. Static. Then I tried the general intercom and my voice echoed through empty corridors, and when the echo faded I heard something underneath it. A sound like breathing. Not human breathing. Something slower. Deeper. Like the ship itself was inhaling. I left the bridge. Training says stay at your post during malfunctions, but I needed to see another person. The corridors were too bright. The Ecclesia's lighting had always been cold and clinical, but now it felt surgical. Exposed. I passed a window and stopped. Outside was nothing. Not the star field we'd been navigating through. Not the distant glow of the Kepler system. Just black. Perfect and absolute. I stood there trying to understand what I was seeing, and then I realized the black was moving. Slowly. Like oil. Like something alive. Engineering was empty. The core reactor hummed along normally. All systems green. I checked the logs. According to the computer, the navigation array hadn't failed. It was still active. Still receiving data. Still calculating our course. But the screens showed nothing. I pulled up the external camera feeds. Every single one showed the same thing. That black. That moving, breathing darkness pressed against the hull. I cycled through all 60 cameras. The Ecclesia was completely surrounded. I found the first body in the medical bay. Dr. Sarno. She was lying on one of the examination tables with her eyes open, staring at the ceiling. No wounds. No signs of trauma. Her skin was gray. When I touched her arm it was cold, but not stiff. No pulse. Fixed pupils. I tried to close her eyes but they wouldn't stay shut. They kept opening. Slowly. Like she was still trying to see something. The cryo bay was worse. Captain Voss was standing in front of pod 47 with his hand pressed against the glass. Not moving. I called his name. Nothing. I walked closer and saw his eyes were open but unfocused. Vacant. I touched his shoulder and he was cold like Dr. Sarno. He fell. Just collapsed straight down like something had been holding him upright and suddenly let go. When I rolled him over his face was gray and his mouth was open and there was something black on his tongue. Not blood. Something else. Something that moved. I ran. I found myself sprinting through the corridors back toward the bridge, and as I ran I passed more of them. Engineer Cole slumped against a bulkhead. Pilot Hendricks face down in the galley. Technician Yao sitting in a chair with her hands folded in her lap. All of them gray. All of them cold. All of them with that black substance somewhere on their skin. I sealed myself on the bridge. Locked every door. Activated every security protocol. Then I pulled up the internal sensors and tried to count how many life signs were left. The system showed 206. Every single crew member registered as alive. Vital signs normal. But I'd seen them. I'd touched them. They were dead. I ran a diagnostic. No errors. I ran it again. Still no errors. According to the Ecclesia, everyone was fine. I tried the communications array. I needed to send a distress signal. But when I activated the system I heard voices. Dozens of them. Hundreds. All talking at once in languages I didn't recognize. Sounds that didn't sound like language at all. Clicking. Humming. That breathing sound again, but now it was coming through the speakers, filling the bridge, and underneath it all I heard my own voice. Repeating something. Coordinates. I was giving coordinates. Except I wasn't speaking. My mouth wasn't moving. But I could hear myself saying numbers. Saying locations. Saying words I didn't understand. I shut down the array. The voices stopped but I could still hear the breathing. It was in the walls now. In the deck. In the air itself. I pulled up the external cameras again. The black had changed. It was pulling away. Slowly. Revealing something underneath. At first I thought it was stars. But the shapes were wrong. They were lights. Thousands of them. Millions. Arranged in patterns. Grids. Structures. I increased the magnification and saw they weren't lights at all. They were ships. An entire fleet extending in every direction as far as the cameras could see. Some of them were massive. Larger than the Ecclesia. Larger than anything I'd ever seen. Others were small. Strange. Built in geometries that hurt to look at. And they were all heading in the same direction. Moving as one. I checked our heading. We were moving with them. The Ecclesia had matched their velocity perfectly. We'd become part of the fleet. I tried to calculate where we were going but the navigation computer wouldn't respond. It just showed those coordinates. The ones I'd been speaking. I entered them manually and the system placed them at the edge of mapped space. Beyond the colonies. Beyond the frontier. In a region marked as empty. I don't know how long I sat there staring at those coordinates. I looked at the chronometer and it showed 18 hours had passed since the navigation array died. But that was impossible. It had been less than 2. I checked the logs. According to the computer, 18 hours was correct. I'd lost time. Somehow I'd lost 16 hours and I had no memory of where they went. I heard footsteps in the corridor outside. Slow. Deliberate. Someone was walking toward the door. I watched the security camera feed. It was Engineer Cole. Walking normally. Moving like he was alive. But I'd seen him. I'd seen his body. I zoomed in on his face. Gray skin. Empty eyes. That black substance dripping from the corner of his mouth. He stopped in front of the door and stared directly at the camera. Then he smiled. Not a human smile. Something else. Something that used too many muscles. The door opened. I hadn't unlocked it. I hadn't touched any controls. Cole walked onto the bridge and stood there looking at me. I couldn't move. Couldn't speak. He tilted his head slightly and that black substance started spreading across his skin like veins. Like roots. He opened his mouth and instead of words I heard that breathing sound. That deep, slow inhalation. And I understood. The crew wasn't dead. They were changed. The Ecclesia hadn't malfunctioned. It had been found. That darkness outside wasn't empty space. It was them. They'd surrounded the ship and moved through it like water through paper, and now they were inside all of us. Inside the metal. Inside the systems. Inside everything. Cole took another step toward me and I ran. Out the door, down the corridor, anywhere away from him and that sound. But as I ran I saw more of them. The entire crew. All 206. Standing in doorways. Emerging from rooms. Watching me. Their skin gray. Their eyes empty. Their mouths moving in that wrong smile. They didn't chase me. They didn't need to. They were everywhere. Blocking every path. Funneling me toward something. I ended up in the cargo hold. The massive central bay where we stored the mining equipment. It was empty. Not just empty of crew. Empty of cargo. Everything was gone. The hold was just a vast open space, and in the center of it was something I couldn't look at directly. A shape. A presence. It existed in more dimensions than I could process and my eyes kept sliding away from it. But I could feel it. The weight of it. The intelligence. It was looking at me. Into me. Through me. The crew filed into the hold behind me. All of them. Moving in perfect synchronization. They formed a circle around the shape in me, and I realized this was why the Ecclesia had been taken. Not for the ship. Not for the cargo. For us. The mining equipment was just cover. The colonies were just an excuse. The Ecclesia had been sent out here to be collected. And now we were being processed. I felt it then. The same thing that had happened to the others. Something cold spreading through my chest. Through my veins. I looked down and saw black lines appearing under my skin. Branching. Growing. I tried to fight it. Tried to resist. But it was already too late. It had been too late since the moment the navigation array died. Maybe longer. Maybe since we left port. Maybe since the Ecclesia was built. I couldn't remember anymore. Time felt wrong. Memory felt wrong. I couldn't remember what I'd been doing before this moment. Couldn't remember my name. Couldn't remember why I was here. The shape moved. Not through space. Through something else. And suddenly I was somewhere different. Not on the Ecclesia. Not in the cargo hold. I was standing on the bridge again, but it wasn't our bridge. The walls were different. The controls were different. I looked out the window and saw Earth. Not as I'd left it. Not as I remembered. Earth from orbit. Except it was covered in lights. Those same lights I'd seen in the fleet. Billions of them. Covering every continent. Every ocean. The entire surface was nothing but those lights arranged in perfect geometric patterns. I understood then what the coordinates meant. Where the fleet was going. We weren't heading to empty space. We were heading home. Back to Earth. Back to deliver what had been collected. And we weren't the first. I could see other ships arriving. Hundreds of them. Thousands. All coming from different directions. All bringing their own cargo. Their own crew. Their own changed passengers. The vision ended. I was back in the cargo hold. Back in my body. Except it wasn't my body anymore. The black lines had spread completely. I could feel them in my thoughts. In my memories. Rewriting everything. Making me into something else. Something useful. The crew was changing too. Their gray skin shifting. Adapting. Becoming something that could survive the journey home. Something that could deliver the message we carried. I wanted to scream. Wanted to fight. But the part of me that could do those things was shrinking. Fading. Being replaced by something that understood. Something that accepted. Something that knew this was always going to happen. The Ecclesia was never a freighter. It was a collection vessel. Earth was never our home. It was their harvest. And we were never really human. Not in the way that mattered. We were planted out here in the dark, waiting to be gathered when we ripened. The shape moved again and the cargo hold disappeared. I was standing in a corridor. Clean. New. The lighting was warm instead of cold. I looked at my hands and they were my hands again. Normal skin. Normal color. I touched my face and felt warmth. I heard voices and turned. The crew was there. All of them. Talking. Laughing. Living. Captain Voss walked past and nodded at me. Dr. Sarno was reading something on a datapad. Engineer Cole was arguing with Pilot Hendricks about fuel efficiency. Everything was normal. Everything was fine. I opened my mouth to warn them. To tell them what was coming. But I couldn't remember what I was going to say. Something had been wrong. Something had happened. But when I tried to think about it, the memory slipped away. Faded. Like a dream I couldn't hold on to. I shook my head and continued walking. I had duties to perform. Systems to check. The Ecclesia was on course. The navigation array was functioning normally. 98 days into our journey to the Kepler colonies. Everything routine. Except when I passed a window I stopped. Outside was that blackness. That moving, breathing darkness. And deep in the part of me that was still human, still real, still fighting, I knew the truth. I was already gone. We were all already gone. Changed. Rewritten. Made into something else. And we were heading home to do the same to everyone we'd ever known. Everyone we'd ever loved. The Ecclesia was still moving. Still accelerating. Still following those coordinates to Earth. And we were still alive in here. Trapped. Aware. Watching ourselves walk and talk and function while something else drove us forward. Something that had been collecting us for longer than we knew. Longer than we'd been in space. Longer than we'd been alive. The breathing sound filled my ears. The ship. The fleet. The darkness. All of it breathing together. Inhaling. Preparing. And I breathed with them. Because I was them now. We all were. Every ship. Every crew. Every human who'd ever gone into deep space thinking they were exploring. Thinking they were expanding. Thinking they were free. We were all just waiting to be delivered home to a planet that stopped being ours a long time ago. We just never knew it. Never saw it. Never understood until it was too late. And now we're coming back. All of us. Changed and ready and carrying the message in our rewritten cells. In our altered memories. In the black substance that flows through our veins instead of blood. We're coming back to share what we learned. To spread what we carry. To transform everyone else the way we were transformed. The Ecclesia is just one ship. One small piece. But there are thousands more. Millions more. All heading home. All arriving soon. And when we get there, when we dock, when we step off our ships and embrace the people waiting for us, they'll understand too. They'll feel what we feel. Know what we know. Become what we've become. The harvest is almost complete. Earth is almost ready. And we're almost home. Claude is AI and can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.